Good evening, very well. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, celebrating Lincoln City's promotion to the Championship. That's what it's all about. How are we all doing, lads? I'm joined by Stephen Brown, Gareth Walker, Lewis Sale, and Stephen Downs, our salty Huddersfield Town fan. How are we all doing, gents? We well?
Good, mate. Thank you.
All good.
Buzzing.
Brilliant. Buzzing.
Pointless asking how you are.
Yes, it is. I'm very well, thank you, guys. Thanks for asking.
Chris is in the middle of a 3-day bender, everybody. So,
surprisingly, no, I've had to be surprisingly sober the last couple of days. I did have a couple of celebratory pints last night. But yeah, no, all in all, it's not been the massive piss up that one would expect for a title in waiting winning side. So yeah. How long is
it since you've been at that level? Is it? Did I say something like 60 years?
Yeah.
But they are a non-league club, Brownie. It's a long time. You know, it's been a long, hard journey back.
You've not got much room to talk, to be fair, Downsy, pal.
Hey, Lou, don't come for me, my friend.
You're Kevin Nagel's money disappearing away from heading to non-league yourselves, mate. So I wouldn't.
I'm looking forward to it.
Pal.
Can have a pint while I watch Colin Quanner come back to the club.
Gaz, how are you, mate? A side that are well and truly secure in those playoff places, unlike Town.
You know me, mate. I wouldn't use the word secure yet. Our fixtures look tough between now and end of season. 5 tough games coming up, but I am very, very happy that we got an away win yesterday because, we drew one. We've been really struggling away from home. So to pick up 3 points at a place like Wickham, we were really good at home. Yeah, made up with that, and it's 6 points from 6 over Easter. So, yeah, happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Lou, obviously we'll talk non-league info a bit later on, but as regards Avenue, as wins go on Good Friday, it was a very good Friday, an emphatic one, 8-0 over Brighouse.
Monday. Good Friday wasn't good.
Was that...
He's still drunk.
It's
still slightly tipsy, isn't it? No, yesterday it was... a good result. Feel really sorry for Brighouse. We're in a fair bit of bother, bless him. Hopefully they can pull it round and rebuild. But yeah, it was one of those commentating on 8 goals and 8 being in the brackets and the actual words spelt out like the old video printer days was a nice one to do. So yeah, but listen, they've given themselves a mountain to climb with Avenue, and I know we'll talk about that in a little bit later. And despite winning 8-0, they're actually no better off, really, than what they were before the ball was kicked, apart from a few extra goals on the goal difference.
Yeah, fair enough. Brownie, how we doing, mates? I mean, look, let's start with, I guess, the fact that Leeds have made a semi-final.
Unbelievable. Just to celebrate, we've got to do it. We've got to do it.
That's us copyrighted. Brilliant. Well done. We've had one swear word in 3 minutes and already copyright music. Brilliant. Well done, chap.
No, it was less than 6 seconds. It's fine. We won't get shut down.
That's why you did it.
It won't be like my Facebook account. Don't worry.
On the podcast.
Yeah. Wembley.
Like the most anti-Huddersfield start to a show we've ever had. So I'm just going to carry that on for a second. There we go.
Means note, boys. Means note. You crack on. Means that we're a big club if you're all talking about us, so it's fine.
Big club.
Bradford
I mean, where do you want to start?
You want.
Let's also touch on the fact, actually, before we go into the club stuff, that this is our 100th Monday night show. It's the usual show that we do on a Monday. Of course, yesterday was a busy day of football. People were at games. We couldn't get one together last night, so we decided that we'd do a bit of a bumper one tonight.
Sorry. Copyrighted all over the place tonight. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, this is not getting monetized, is it? In the slightest, it doesn't matter. We're 100 of these round table shows, these usual Monday night shows. We're 100 deep.
Get in there. Well done, everyone.
What's that? 3 years? Is it 3 years? I think, or something. 4 years, maybe.
You will take.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think it's been a great achievement, hasn't it, boys? I mean, we didn't think we were going to get 100 Monday shows at one point, but it's been a long journey.
Yeah, you boys have done well. You've kept it going. Obviously, I've not been on it as much as I would like. But yeah, it's great achievement for the show. And it's what we're about, isn't it, really? You know, all coming together and having a little chat about football and stuff. It's been good. It's been good. So if you're watching along, get it shared, get it liked, get subscribed, get the word out there. Because honestly, when I listen back to this show every week, it's the debate is so good. It's such a good listen, such a good watch. So yeah, full credit to you guys who've turned up week in, week out.
Glad you've enjoyed it from your armchair, Brownie.
As Brownie does with most things involving football, to be fair.
Tell you what, my favourite memory, Chris, just before you go on, my favourite memory from a Monday show of all time still has to be Mr. Dave Foy, who's sadly not with us tonight, and his comments on rugby league, particularly the Swamp Donkeys. That has to be just an outstanding comment of any podcast in the last 3 years. That rant alone deserved an Oscar.
Yeah, where is Dave? I was hoping he'd be on tonight. He's been coming on, hasn't he? So he's been making a few appearances. So yeah,
Mr.
Swamp Donkey's going to be here.
Check the group chat. He's not seen any of the messages, I don't think. So he must be otherwise engaged today.
Yeah. Fair enough. Brownie, I'll let you decide on that because you know it might go horribly wrong with attacking my Wi-Fi. Where do you want to start then? Who do we discuss and dissect first?
I'm tempted to say Leeds. Selfishly, I've got to say, like you know, come on, we're top of the title as well. Yeah, Wembley again. First time in 39 years, FA Cup semi-final, which is pretty mind-boggling. So yeah, it's kind of pinched me stuff as well because we were in the doldrums for so long. I was saying to Jay on our kind of review yesterday that you know we've had like little to nothing for so long. We had one League One promotion in 16 years before Radrazani took over the club 8 years ago, and it feels now we might just be moving into the territory where hopefully semi-finals or you know cup runs can be a bit more of the norm. There's a debate about you know would you take winning the FA Cup but getting relegated, and I've kind of come down on the side that I wouldn't actually. I want us to stay in the league because I think if we stay in the league and we build, we've got more chances to win trophies and compete and everything. And it's a decent draw, I think. Chelsea as well. I kind of, we're not favourites, but I think they're in a bit of disarray, aren't they, at the minute? All sorts going on there. Fernandez not in the team now. So it's a bit of an opportunity, but problem is Man City, isn't it, really? I think, you know, Man City, it's got their name practically written on the trophy already, hasn't it? But you know, I suppose people thought that last year and it didn't happen. So yeah, it's just brilliant. It's just absolutely amazing. Game seemed to last forever yesterday. Yesterday, me and Jay were absolutely knackered by the time it came to doing a review yesterday. But yeah, good times. So can't complain. And I might try and go to Wembley instead of watch it from my armchair before you say anything.
You've got to, though. This is what it's all about, isn't it? When you get to a semi-final or you get an opportunity to go to Wembley. You've got
so bad at Wembley, though. Like, we're just so bad at Wembley. It's our record at Wembley is, honestly, it's abysmal. We've not scored a goal at Wembley, barring a Charity Shield, since 1972, when we won the FA Cup, which is just staggering. But
yeah, but you won the FA Cup that day.
We did win it that day. Yeah,
exactly. The day you scored at Wembley, you won. So,
who was manager?
Brian Clough, I think.
I thought you knew your history, Steve.
No, I do know my history. I think it's a great achievement. Although, for me, whilst I'd rather Leeds not be there because of obvious reasons, I think it is nice to have different names in there rather than Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea every season. It's boring, isn't it? You know, for Leeds to be there, for Southampton to be there. Unfortunately, Southampton will get absolutely smashed to bits in the semi-final, unfortunately. However, I think you've got a great chance to beat Chelsea. They flip-flop like mad, and yeah, I think it's the tie that you probably wanted, to be honest.
Well, we've not lost to them this season, so hopefully we can be a bit of a bogey team for them. It's a historic fixture as well, going back to 1970, which is still the most watched domestic game there's ever been. It's a ridiculous feat. Something like 30 million people watched it or something absolutely bonkers, even more than the World Cup final, I think. So it's got a lot behind it, and it'd just be fantastic to go there and do it. And big praise to the team, to Farker as well. I think if we stay up, having a cup run as well, I think it moves Farker into a different bracket of overachieving. Really, you could argue he's overachieving, keeping us in the league anyway, but throwing an FA Cup semi-final and Wembley visit for a team that is so bad at cup runs, you can't believe it. I think he's done absolutely superb. I really do.
Question: if he wins the FA Cup,
yeah,
is he a bigger legend than Bielsa? No, I think it's a debatable question.
And do you know what? It would move him. It would move him into. Well, I mean, we've only had 2 managers that have ever won anything at the club. So if he gets into that bracket of actually winning a piece of silverware, it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
It won't be for some fans.
No, I'm only hesitant because obviously Bielsa. I think none of this happens without Bielsa anyway. But if we win the FA Cup under Farke, there's no doubt. I mean, for me, is Hall of Fame stuff, absolutely amazing. Hopefully, he'll finally get the credit he deserves as well. I'm ducking that question. I'm going to text Jay. I'm going to ask Jay. Jay, what do you think?
Safely say that from a neutral perspective, I would take Leeds winning the FA Cup and being relegated just for a nice away day next season and for Leeds and Lincoln equals in the same division. I mean, yeah, I want to go back to Doubty's questions. I want you to give us an actual proper answer.
I think it's a
really good question. It's really it's so difficult.
It has to, simply because what was Bielsa's greatest achievement with Leeds? Promoting our championship, was a championship title win.
Yeah,
it's a championship title, but it's the FA Cup. It's not just the best domestic trophy in England. It's regarded as the greatest domestic cup competition on the planet.
He kept you up though as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
so if Farke got you up, he obviously got you up. He keeps you up and wins the FA Cup. He has technically done more than Bielsa.
Yeah. And we got more points in the championship under Farke and etc. But that's different. Gav in the chat, if you watch it along, mate, help me out with that one. Bielsa or Farke if Farke wins the cup, but. Yeah, I mean, and it's all true, but I think he had a much better team than Bielsa did, much better players available to him than Bielsa did. That's a brilliant question. It's so hard to answer because the thing with Bielsa is it's hard to kind of explain to non-Leeds fans, or if you've had that relationship with the manager, but it's crazy. I mean, you saw what it was like when Uruguay came to Wembley recently, and Leeds fans are like, going down in the droves. They're standing in front of the coach, chanting for Bielsa, blocking the coach. It's crazy. The level, that connection we have to Bielsa isn't there with Farke. It's not there with Farke. Rightly or wrongly, whatever people think, we don't have the same connection with Farke. But if he gets us an FA Cup, yeah, it's a problem.
There we go. Gavin has answered.
Thank you.
And wins the cup, he has to be regarded higher than Marcelo Bielsa.
Brown is a Bielsa boy, isn't it? You can just
Gavin, speaking for the sensible Leeds fans amongst them.
I guess it just depends what. I don't know. It depends what you want. I mean, it's like with Lou. I'd ask Lou just to kind of change it. Kevin Keegan or Eddie Howe. So Eddie Howe won a trophy, but that connection that Newcastle fans had with Kevin Keegan is almost like, Messiah and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. I think I'm going to sound really boring and diplomatic here, but I think Bielsa's more of a cult hero because of the style, his personality, that affinity he had with Leeds. Everything that happened to Leeds before, Bielsa's kind of basically transformed the club. I think from a actual managerial standpoint, in terms of stats and stuff like that, Farke probably is better. But sometimes just because managers are better than others doesn't mean that you like them more. And I'm exactly that with Keegan and adore Keegan because he played some unbelievable stuff and transformed the club into what it is now. Helped play that part. And I think Bielsa's got that kind of personality that fans completely resonate with.
To be fair, I can make that comparison as well with the Cowleys and Scavala. To be fair, two absolute greats. So yeah.
The only thing about these two examples, and I think they're very fair examples, even with the one that you've given, Chris, is they're quite far apart in terms of their moments at the club, where Farke followed literally Bielsa into the dugout. So, like, I understand why Leeds fans probably find that question very hard to answer because, from a memory point of view, Lou doesn't necessarily remember everything about Kevin Keegan at Newcastle. You will remember bits, but you're at an age where you were probably quite young at the time. Where like Leeds fans now have gone from watching Bielsa to watching this Farke team. And if you did go on to win the FA Cup, it's so close in history that's why I asked the question. I think
How dare you, Steve? How dare you completely ignore the Jesse Marsh period, followed by by Allardyce? How dare you forget that?
Yeah. Sorry, but you get my context.
We're in there as well.
You get my context.
Point to Old Trafford for it.
Well, it was. But how did you phrase it, though, Steve? Did you say who's a bigger legend or who is the best?
No. I said to you, who would be regarded as, like in 100 years, who will people think of as he was a legendary manager if Farke won the FA Cup?
Yeah, well, Farke's name would be on a trophy, so in 100 years there won't be, people won't be remembering that feeling we had for Bielsa at the time. That'll be gone. It'll just be looking in the history books, going, "Oh yeah, Daniel Farke was the man who won the cup." So you probably have to say Farke would be regarded, historically. But it's like Lou said, that's a good point. It's like the emotion you have to them, and there's different sides to it. It's like, who's the better manager? Who do you like the most? Who's had the most success? It's different kind of areas to judge them. And Bielsa wins a couple, Farke wins a couple of those. But yeah, good question, Downsy.
That's all right.
He's asked a good question.
100th episode.
100 episodes. It's only, I suppose that I haven't really got an example. I've got to pick between Mark Fotheringham and David Wagner. You know what I mean? And one's a Scottish scaffolder that never did out, and one's an absolute German legend. It's not. I don't have really.
To be fair, Downsy, you've got a few more to add in there, mate. Just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, the Martin from Wakefield, he was really successful.
To be fair, you've got, if you go back far enough, you've got the likes of Jacko, though, to be fair, as well, that got you out of League Two back in, 05?
Oh, yeah. But what I mean is we don't have anybody that could have gone on to win an FA Cup.
No.
You know what I mean? We're going back to the days of, Mr. Potter and Herbert Chapman for that. And obviously, I know I'm as old as bloody time in my head, but I don't remember that far back. So...
Well, I mean, you look at City, don't you, with Gaz, Paul Joel, Phil Parkinson, that kind of era as well. People are going to have different opinions on that as well, aren't they? And I'm not saying now, but Graham Alexander's got to be in and around that thoughts. It's a similar debate. It's an interesting one. Yeah. I mean, you can like all of them as well. That is also
that's the thing. You are allowed to like all the successful managers at your clubs.
Yeah, we're lucky that we don't have to choose, aren't we? I mean, Jewel took us to the Premier League, and I was 16. I was going to games on my own for the first time, home and away. So I was like the perfect age, really. Then obviously, Parky and Alexander. Parky probably sort of 15 years after Jewel, and then Parky 10 years, and then Alexander 10 years after that. I was a bit older, but in fact, Parky obviously got us to cup final, as well as getting us promoted. But then Alexander has got us an automatic promotion, which we hadn't had since Jewel. So makes you think, like, people have actually said, like, if Alexander takes us up again, which, you know, he could do, touch wood, then he's got to be right up there, hasn't he?
Well, he's got to be better than Parky, hasn't he? Then you would think. But it's a similar thing, isn't it? Parky's probably more loved, isn't he, than a lot of fans still are having Alexander, are they? You know, like
It's
a lot
very,
of
very
fans are having Parky.
Yeah, I mean, the League Cup run, you've got to factor in, has been such an anomaly as well in, like, League Cup history as well. Like, was the first League Two side or Division 4 or whatever you want to call it, but the first side from that division since Rochdale in, like, 1961 or something. So, yeah.
But what else with nights like that, Chris, is like when they beat Arsenal and when they beat Villa, and literally you've got millions of people watching it on TV that don't give a crap about Bradford City, but absolutely want them to win that game just because of the being the underdogs. I think that really helps the story of a manager.
And Parky also had the cup run a couple of years after that, where we had a run in the FA Cup and got to the quarter-final, and we were 2-0 down at Stamford Bridge against Mourinho's Chelsea, who were champions, and I think they were top of the league at the time, or near the top of the league. They might not actually been top, but they were champions, and we were 2-0 down at their place and come back and won 4-2. So it's so difficult, isn't it? Like you say, it's so difficult to choose, and like I think we're very lucky that we don't have to choose because we've got them all. Like Newcastle have got Cowan, Keegan, and Rowney's got Bielsa and Farker. So you're very lucky, really. You remember the good times.
Didn't Steady score that game, Gaz? John Steady?
Chelsea did, yeah. He got the first goal at Chelsea when we were 2-0 down, yeah.
Yeah.
We had him on loan, I think.
We'll come back to Leeds then, Brown, before we kind of wrap up with the Leeds side of things. I mean, I guess, where do you see this this really good FA Cup run, this route into the semis, kind of setting Leeds up for the remainder of the season league-wise? I mean, some people look at cup runs and say they can be a distraction. Other people say, actually, the form that you can take in cup runs can be transferred into league games as well. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, it's interesting because we picked up a couple of injuries from that game as well, probably most notably Anton Stack, who's probably been our best player over the course of the season. As Gav says, Stack out is a big worry. So couple of casualties maybe from the game, which is not ideal. Psychologically, though, you'd like to think that it gives something to the players. It gives them confidence because, you know, we were playing West Ham, who obviously we're going against, you know, for relegation. And if we'd have lost that or been well beaten, you know, you would have worried about the psychological impact. I actually thought Leeds were really good yesterday. I thought we deserved to win it. And I thought, you know, conceding the way we did 93rd minute. I mean, this thing of just conceding goals 90 plus minute. It's absolutely crazy. We'd have had so many more points on the board if we didn't do it. But I'm hoping psychologically it gives us all a boost. Not too happy with, you know, the rearranged Bournemouth game 3 days before the Chelsea semi-final. I look at particularly someone like Goodmanson, who is integral to how we play, and you know, he's started to kind of miss a little bit of game time. He's our only left wing back at the club. You know, I do worry about someone like him being able to do Wednesday and then Saturday. You know, it's going to be mentally quite draining. But I don't know. I think it's given us a boost. I think there's positivity in the air after a few games where we weren't scoring goals. We didn't look as if we were going to score. I think this has just served as a bit of a reset. I think the international break, this FA Cup game, I'm hoping psychologically it's just served as a reset. It's given a chance to Outanaka to come back in, and he was absolutely superb. So if he can kind of stake a claim over the next few weeks, hopefully we'll be better. We'll look more fluid. yesterday, or day before rather. So I'm hoping it's positive. I'm hoping it's good. It's exciting to look forward to as a fan as well, because the relegation battle can be quite exhausting. I think most Leeds fans were, you put through the ringer a bit, aren't you, when you're in that relegation zone, because you're not seeing your team win many games. We weren't scoring goals. There's not, it's quite bleak, really, especially when you've kind of had that for most of the season. So it's a nice distraction, and hopefully it's not going to be, Wigan, because we remember what happened with Wigan. That's the kind of one, isn't it, where they won it and went down. So hopefully nothing silly like that. But yeah, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's all positive and it works in our favour. Hopefully it damages West Ham a little bit psychologically, just losing that game. It probably would have been more effective if we would have just done it in the 90, but hopefully it's still, causes them a few issues. They've got a quick turnaround to Wolves on Friday as well. So yeah, hopefully it's all good.
Yeah, one of the positives, I guess, is that obviously, as I said, West Ham, forcing it for time, they've got that quicker turnaround. Because for you guys, is it Old Trafford on Monday night?
Yeah. So I won't be on the 101st episode, unfortunately, that night. But yeah, it's a massive game.
What's your lot?
Never, it'll never happen, Chris. And maybe England in the summer. Didn't we do one before? We did one for England in the Euros. I'm sure we did. But yeah, it's no, that won't happen. But yeah, massive game. If we could just go there and do something, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's like Jay won it in the group today. You can tell Jay's kind of feeling a little bit more kind of optimistic and positive about going to Old Trafford and doing something. And I agree. I think it feels like we could do something. I mean, we've got our record there is abysmal, but look, it's there to be beaten. Spirit of Skabala when we got a 2-2 draw last time we were there under Scoobs, so we'll take that again in a heartbeat. But yeah, we'll see. Massive game, but it'd be nice if West Ham can drop some points and just take that pressure off it a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Any other business regarding Leeds that's caught your eye recently besides the impending semi?
But just a little bit on kind of the financial stuff came out last week, and it's looking pretty positive. I mean, football is bonkers. Football finance is absolutely mental. So every team loses money, and we were considered more on the positive side. Net debts have been reduced. We're in the top 10 for commercial income in the Premier League, which
got to be
is
pretty
phenomenal. We broke championship revenue records last year as well when we were in the championship. So it feels like everything hinges on staying in the league in terms of capitalising on that. Because the fan base is there, the appetite's there. So hopefully we can do it. But yeah, apart from that, all good.
I mean, on the face of it though, that sets you up for next season surely quite well. Best case scenario, whatever happens in the cup happens, but you stay up. In terms of a platform to build, the finances has always been the worry, hasn't it? From his perspective of, well, are we going to be in a position to be able to actually spend money and strengthen?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know kind of what it's like, and teams have faced issues. Obviously, you look at Villa and Newcastle, who are trying to kind of get into that upper echelon of the Premier League, and it's so difficult. And if you can get bigger revenues, commercial streams, all that stuff, it's only going to help. And I think that's what the 49ers picked out in us when they decided to invest in us. Because if we can get it right, we can leapfrog your Brightons, your Brentfords, your Bournemouths, Crystal Palace, we can leapfrog them in those terms. Now, we've got to earn it on the pitch. We've got to have good recruitment, and we've got to be on it. But in terms of that potential, it is there for us.
Yeah. It bodes well. It will be interesting to see what happens between now and the end of the season, of course, and see where Leeds find themselves for next season. Let's turn our attentions then to League One. One place to start, of course. Michael Scavala. I'm just going to keep bringing Scoobs up at random times over the course of the rest of the show just to make me happy. Gaz, we'll come to you first and foremost, mate. For Bradford City, the side that are in the playoff places at the moment. and a very good Easter weekend, mate.
Yeah, 6 from 6. 6 points from 6 over Easter is a real plus for us, particularly winning away yesterday because, as I said earlier, Wycombe really good at home. Our away form's been dire. I think that's only our 6th away win of the season. I think it's only our 3rd since January or since the turn of the year. So, yeah, real plus for us to take 6 from 6. And with Stockport and Bolton drawing, it's moved us just a little bit closer. Obviously, we've gone up to 3rd. We're not going to catch Cardiff, but maybe a win.
You keep believing, Gaz. You keep believing. You might catch Cardiff yet.
Well, I think a win and a draw maybe from our last 5. You'd hope 4 more points might see us into the playoffs. But it's not going to be easy. We've got some tough games coming up. We've got Stevenage on Saturday. Then we've got Barnsley away the following Saturday. Then we've got Plymouth at home on the Tuesday night, which are the form team in the league at the moment, other than Lincoln. I can't not say Lincoln, Chris. And then we've got Bolton. Bolton's our last home game. And then Exeter away on the last day of the season, who are obviously scrapping for their lives at the moment. So our running is tough. I think the only team that possibly have a tougher running than us are Bolton. So it's not going to be easy to make that top six place. But 2 wins out of 2 over Easter is a fantastic start, especially, like I say, getting that monkey off our back away at Wycombe and getting that away win. And I think, from what I can gather, that we're just about, for the first time in a very, very long time, possibly the first time that I can remember in recent years, we've got just about a fully fit squad, which is obviously a massive plus going into the running. I think Tyreek Wright was the only one missing on Friday and yesterday, which is a blow because he's been in good form, but everyone else was back. Caden Jackson and Nick Powell even on the bench yesterday. So, yeah, it's been a good weekend.
You just keep believing, Gaz. 15 points from those 5 games could see you in second.
Cardiff's running isn't the easiest, but they are 7 points above us with a game in hand. I don't see them blowing it, but especially with our running, and like I said, Bolton's as well. Bolton's is probably the only one that's tougher than ours. So, yeah, you do believe, but as a City fan, you learn not to get too excited as well.
Well, as a neutral, I say neutral, I'm backing you all the way to try and finish second and pick Cardiff to it. Just need to touch as well on the game from Friday as well. That home form, second best home form in League One, behind, can't think who it could be, the side that's top, I'm guessing. But you know, for you guys, a 1-0 win over Northampton.
Yeah, I think we've lost twice at home this season. Cardiff turned us over, and I think the other one was Burton. Burton beat us 2-1. We weren't great that day. I mean, we weren't great on Friday, to be honest. It was a game really, really low on quality. Northampton came and spoiled for a large part of the game, and then in the last sort of 20 minutes, had a real go because they were only obviously 1-0 down and they're scrapping for their lives themselves. So the last 20 minutes they opened up, sort of stopped the spoiling tactics and had a go, and we could have shipped a goal at the end quite easily. I would say as well, the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes, Northampton were arguably the better side. Sam Walker's made a really good save. But yeah, just a game really, really low on quality, to be honest with you. I mean, Bobby Poynton had a couple of chances to add to the goal that we got. He's had a header where it's put over the bar, and he's had a chance after that, a shot that the keeper's made a good save from. But yeah, it just wasn't a great game, to be honest. And one of those games that at this time of the year, you're just happy to take the 3 points and move on and see where you are in the league at 4:45. And thankfully, we did that.
Yeah, and then obviously for yesterday, ending that away record that is blighted Bradford in recent months, at least. Bottom of the fixtures there, Wycombe 1, Bradford 2, and look, we said before that Wycombe wouldn't be an easy place to go because they've been in pretty decent form of late, sniffing around those playoff places with the likes of Huddersfield, Plymouth, etc. So to go to Adams Park and come away with all 3 points, very few sides do that.
Yeah, they've been really good at home since Michael Duff went in there. Their home form has basically kept them in and around the playoff picture. I don't think they've been great away. And when we went 1-0 down after 6 minutes, considering their home form and our away form, you feared the worst, really, as a City fan, and thought there was no coming back. I can't remember the stat. Someone put a stat out saying that how long it is since we've come from behind to win a game as well, and that's been a really long time. So to do that at a place like Wycombe was really good. They were obviously, like you say, Chris, they're in and around the playoff picture, so they were looking for a win to push themselves or keep them in that top 6 contention. So they're probably thinking now 5 points adrift to Stevenage, having played 2 games more. They're probably thinking they're out of it now. They needed to beat us, really. So to go there and win like we did was a real plus. Like I said, Caden Jackson and Nick Powell back on the bench as well. That's a bit of a positive for us moving into the last 5 games. We've had Stephen Humphreys was actually back in the side on Friday and kept his place yesterday as the number 9. When he's previously, obviously, there's been a big debate all season about whether he's a 9 or whether he should be played out wide. And there was kind of a little bit of feeling that the tide might be turning a little bit. And his last couple of appearances have come off the bench wide on the left, but he actually started down the middle on Friday and got his goal against Northampton. I still don't think he's a 9. I think he's far better out wide, but he got his goal. He needs to work a lot harder for me as a 9, running the channels, taking the press. He openly admitted, it was interesting in the post-match on Friday with Jamie Rayner. He came and did the play after the manager interview. They always have a player on, and he was the player having come back into the team and scored. And he openly admitted that he doesn't enjoy playing as a number 9, which was quite interesting considering the debate that we've had this season. But he went on and said that obviously he just wants to play. So if he can get in the team as a 9, then he takes it. And hopefully that goal gives him a confidence boost. But like I said, just for me, he just needs to work a bit harder as a number 9 to really convince the supporters. Otherwise, there's always going to be the nagging belief that he's better off the left. I think the debate at the moment is that was where he was going to play because Bobby Poynton and Anthony Sarcevic have got those 2 wide 10 positions pretty much nailed down and have done for a couple of years. So if he's going to play, he's going to be in the 9. But now with Caden Jackson back, we all thought Caden Jackson might be better out as sort of the wide right number 10. But when he's played as the number 9 and he's actually looked pretty good. So to have him back to full fitness gives Alexander a decision to make between Humphreys and Jackson going into the next game. And like I said, 2 wins out of 2, you might not see him change a winning side.
Yeah, at home to Stevenage, you touched on that kind of tricky-looking run between now and the end of the season. It starts with Stevenage at home, who are one of the sides that are currently, at least, occupying that final playoff place as it stands inside by a couple of points, 7 points behind Bradford. It's going to be one of those games where that good, positive home form is going to be crucial because it's going to be, obviously, an extremely difficult game with Stevenage wanting to keep a hold of that playoff place.
Yeah, they're one of the sides, like you can see there. They've got a game in hand on us, a couple of games in hand on Reading. So they've done well to stick around at Stevenage because obviously start of the season, they were up top 2. I think it's just sort of November time, really. And when they started to drop away, people thought that was them done. But they've managed to cling on to that playoff position and never really dropped out of contention. We know what we'll get against Stevenage. Very similar to how we play, really. They won't want a lot of the ball. They'll be very, very physical. We had it at their place earlier in the season where I think we drew 1-1. So it's going to be a really tough game. Like I said, we haven't got any easy games in this last 5. After Stevenage, we go to Barnsley, which is always a tough place to go, Yorkshire Derby, and then we've got Plymouth on the Tuesday night after that. So, and then Bolton is our last home game. So our fixtures are really tough between now and the end of the season. The last game is away at Exeter, who are fighting for their lives. So we just need to keep the home foot. Well, now we've won an away game. That gets a bit of a monkey off our back. Hopefully, we can build a bit of take confidence from that and pick up maybe the four points that perhaps we need to make sure we are in that top 6 coming to the end of the season. But you've also got the argument that, as you guys know, when you go into the playoffs, you want to kind of go in some form as well. It tends to be the team that goes in form that does well. So we don't want to, even if we do make the top 6, we want to go in a decent run and not off the back of a couple of defeats. So still a lot to play for at City, and it's going to be nail biting between now and the end of the season to see where we end up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still holding out the hope that you can get some results and pick Cardiff to second. We'll see what happens over the Queen Week. From a side with something very much to hang on to in a playoff position, to a side that, as Stephen Downs said earlier, they're hanging on. trying to hang on to a playoff spot when you're hanging on to 9th in the table at the moment, mate. But all in all, not a particularly bad weekend for the Terriers with 4 points from 2 games.
Yeah, we drew on Monday. On Friday, Good Friday against Reading, 1-1. In what was quite a drab fixture, to be absolutely honest. We snatched a draw from a defeat when Lasse Sorensen managed to guide the ball into the net in the 96th minute to get that goal. I mean, it was a pretty poor fixture in all. I didn't think either side was particularly fantastic. Reading came with, I don't think they were happy with a point, but I think that they weren't particularly going all out in the second half to get the winner. Let's put it that way. Town did the usual thing of making a mess of it in the first half, letting the opposition sort of be dominant, take the lead. And then we had to fight our way back into it. So, yeah, Friday was, whilst it was good to get the draw in the end, because obviously it was going to be a defeat, it was kind of another sort of chance to get 3 points on the board slip. And then Monday, we went into the fixture against Leyton Orient. It was the only game that I predicted that we would actually possibly get a win, although I will clarify that I did say that I didn't think we'd win a game until for the rest of the season. However, Leyton Orient was the only one that I thought that we might win. And we did. It was, again, another very scrappy game. Leyton Orient managed to drag themselves from the doldrums of the relegation zone up into 15th now. With the last 6 games that they've been on quite a bit of a run. Again, a side that, they don't particularly play fantastic football, although they are a decent side in moments. And certainly if it wasn't for a block by Sean Rowan and a save by Lee Nichols, we wouldn't have gone on to score the winner, which obviously Ledson did in the end and made for great scenes at the end. I think as Town fans, we're all sort of thinking, it's the hope that sort of kills you. We all, after Reading, pretty much thought it was dead and buried. And somehow, I don't know how, but we've managed to claw a point on people, and we're only 3 points off now.
Yeah, am I right to let's believe a lengthy stoppage in that Leyton Orient game as well with an injury? I think it's to young George Sabine, the striker who actually came through the ranks at Guiseley before joining Huddersfield. Was it him that came on and got injured fairly swiftly, sadly?
Yeah, he only had 10 seconds on the pitch. He had one touch of the ball, and that was to head Marcus Harness's head. And it basically, they jumped up, went for the same ball, and George Sabine thought, do you know what, I'm not bothered about playing any more of this game. And luckily, he managed to get up. He looked a bit concussed. He was shaking his head like he didn't want to come off, obviously, as every young player wouldn't want to do that after making his debut against Reading on Good Friday, and did all right. He again come off the bench on Monday, and you were hoping that he would come on and make something happen, but sadly didn't get that chance, went off. And obviously the medics did the right thing. Max Harness did continue with what can only be described as the biggest headband I've ever seen in my entire life, bandage, but he managed to continue. So yeah, it was 14 minutes added on, and we somehow scored the winning goal in the 116th minute. Make of that what you will. I genuinely have no idea why the referee added 2 more minutes on, apart from the fact that a Leyton Orient player went down for not even 10 seconds to tie his shoelace.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? It's always a minimum of rather than setting in stone. People always forget that as well. Little things can happen to add it on. Obviously, it's been the first couple of games for Drury instead in this kind of interim charge between now and the end of the season. Apart from potentially George Sabine's appearances, obviously having come through the youth, being the youth side of Town, any other kind of changes, either squad-wise, formation-wise, or style of play-wise, or is it very much still very kind of Liam Manning's imprint on the side, but just the change in personnel where they've seen something the youth side?
No, it's a bit weird with the situation with Alfie May. He played against Reading. He then got taken off. Looked quite frustrated, let's put it that way, about being taken off. There were a few raised arms between himself and the coaching staff against Reading, and then he wasn't in the squad for the Leyton Orient game. We were told that he had a knock, whatever that means, and so he was omitted from the squad. It was cleared up after the game by saying that he, hopefully he will be around for the next fixture against Wycombe, but it was just a precaution that they had to take. I find it all very strange and weird, and it doesn't sit well with me, to be absolutely honest. But there we are. There's the sort of throes of modern football for you. You've got to deal with these things. Unfortunately, you just can't have, 22 lads in the squad that all just want to fight for the shirt at the same time with the same level of passion, unfortunately.
What happens between now and the end of the season? Do you foresee Alfie May being there next season? Because he seems to be in these runnings with, well, basically bloody everyone since he turned up at the club.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll be with us next season. To answer your question bluntly, I also don't think Joe Taylor will be, which is more of a crying shame, I think, because of his age. I think his age.
That's why.
Well, if you want to pay $4 million for him, then that's fine. I think the sad thing about Joe Taylor is his age. He's only 24, I think. He's coming into his prime years. Alfie May's 33 next year. So am I more devastated about losing Joe Taylor at this moment in time? Probably, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just double checking to see whether Joe Taylor scored at the weekend or not.
I don't think he did, because Wigan got beat 3-0, I believe.
No, they won 3-1 at Northampton yesterday.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Gaz?
He played but didn't score. Go on, Gaz.
I was just going to say the positive for you, Dowsy. I know you've been down for the last month or so, a couple of months, but the positive for you is those late goals. That shows that your team's fighting for you, and that Steady and Drury have got them with a bit of toughness, bit of mental toughness. There's a bit of fight in them, and that they've not given up. I think you've got to take that as a huge positive for their first two games, that you've done that. What was it, 96 on Friday and 90 plus 16 on Monday?
Yeah, absolutely, guys, and I agree with you there. I think the worry has always been with his town side that we have to go a goal down to fight back. Which and in the immediacy of, unfortunately, having those goals conceded against us, the team don't look very. They look very fragile. However, I agree that it is good that we fought back in the last two games and showed a bit of something. Whether it's going to be good enough in the next three against very, very tough opponents, who knows? I mean, I did say yesterday on Town Talk that if we're going to get anything out of the next three, they're going to have to play a lot better than what we did in the previous two.
Yeah, those next few games, Wycombe at home on the 11th, Cardiff at home on the Tuesday night after that on the 14th, before a trip to Bolton on the 18th, the month rounded off, or the month in the start of May, rounded off with a game against Mansfield at home and Wimbledon away. So those last two in particular look winnable. It's just the importance of the three against those sides around, certainly in Bolton, the playoff side, Wycombe looking for the playoffs, and Cardiff looking to maintain and secure second.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping Wycombe next week's going to be very difficult because Michael Duff will want to come back. He'll want to, prove a point to the town hierarchy. I'm imagining they smashed us 4-0, I think it was away. It's the game that Alfie May got sent off. So, yeah, both sides play a very similar formation, both quite similar styles. So it's going to be a very tactical chess match, I think, on Saturday. Probably not if you Sky, or it's not really a game that you want to show. Not that it's on Sky, but it's not one for the purists. Let's put it that way. Then we've got Cardiff, and unfortunately, do we think in 2 games' time Cardiff will have automatic promotion wrapped up? I'm not too sure. So therefore, they've still got something to play for. And with a Bolton game, I'm just kind of praying that they've wrapped up a playoff place by then, because then they'll have really no to play for, unless they want to be tactical and work out who they want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're trying to arrange the best opponent they feel. I mean, the interesting one for Cardiff, they haven't got that game in hand, or that game in hand as well. Rather frustratingly for other sides chasing Cardiff down, I imagine, is Port Vale at home on the 22nd, by which point Port Vale will more than likely be confirmed as relegated. So, it's interesting for them. It's going to be interesting to see what Town do. I mean, how much hope do you have all of a sudden to have gone from that we're not going to win another game all season at best Leyton Orient? You still stand by that, or are you actually feeling a little bit more positive and thinking, you never know, there is something there that means you could make the playoffs?
There's something there, and you know what? I mean, Gaz has joked about this in particularly the last couple of weeks. If Town somehow by a miracle got to the playoffs, we probably would have a good chance of winning it, because that's what Town do.
Hey, I'm not joking. I'm deadly serious.
It is what Town do. They somehow pull something out of a rabbit, and you know what I mean. We do like a playoff campaign, but it's the 3 games that worry me. I think you lose 2 of them, and it is over. Really, I think for me. I mean, we had a comment yesterday that says we need to win 4 out of 5. I think we've got to win probably 3, or at least 2, and then draw the other 3 to get any hope of being in there. Really.
Did you just say pull something out of a rabbit?
I meant pull a rabbit out of a hat. You all know what I meant.
Yeah, it's not just canines, is it?
Wow. I mean, can I ask Gaz a question? Right? So Gaz, right? Out of the teams that are there at the moment and the chasing pack, including us, do you think Wickham are out of it, Gaz? Because I think that's what you said earlier on. And then the second question is, if you think Wickham are out of it, and you go Luton, Town, Reading, Plymouth, Stevenage, Stockport, Bolton, and yourselves, who frightens you most about getting in them playoffs for you?
Yeah, I think Wickham are out of it. I think we would struggle over 2 legs in the playoffs against most, just because our away form's so poor, or it was until the weekend. From a personal point of view, it's you, Danzy, because as a City fan, you'd hate to lose to Town, given the seasons that we've had. But it remains to be seen when you're talking about who's going to get in that playoffs. I think just given what's happened recently in recent games, I would say if anyone that's not in that current top 6 at the moment, I would say it's going to be Plymouth or yourselves that are going to get it. I don't think Reading will. I don't think Luton will, and because I think Wickham are out of it. So that's just my prediction. But I'm not a betting man, and there's a reason I'm not a betting man, because I always lose money. So there you go.
I do think Stevenage have to be worried.
Well, I was just going to touch on Stevenage, to be fair, Steve, because their next 3 games, obviously Bradford away on Saturday, they've then got a midweek trip to Bolton, and then they've got Lincoln at home on the 18th. They finished the season with Barnsley at home, Doncaster away, and Wigan at home. So again, a little bit similarly to Town, I guess, is that they've got 3 tricky-looking games next up, followed by, for them, 3 certainly easier-looking games. So if they can come through the City game, the Bolton game, and the Lincoln game with 5 points, that's probably not a bad return from those games going into the easier one at the end for them. I think it'd be a hell of a story if Stevenage were to even make the playoffs, to be fair. let alone go up. It'd be amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest stories in there right now for the clubs that if you look at the story arcs, Bradford is probably the biggest because of the League Two. I think Stevenage, as you say, Alex Ravel. You know, I mean, I think I had Stevenage to go down at the start of this season, and probably Plymouth because Tom Cleverley's come from absolutely nowhere. Let's be absolutely honest. I mean, how he survived in that job, and I'm pretty sure at one point they were second bottom, and he's now in. He's a place below the playoffs. I mean, it's quite remarkable, really, how he's got them to that stage. I think if we get in there, we're not a story. If we get in there, the only story with Town is our history from it. We don't deserve to be in there from the season that we've had. I will quite plainly say that.
Yeah, for Cleverley, it would be remarkable. It would be such a good example, to be fair, of sticking with a man and sticking with the manager when things aren't necessarily going well. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who can pull it out of the rabbit when it comes to crunch time, I suppose.
Don't get Lou on sticking with the manager. He still thinks that Lee Grant should be in a job.
Well, I think you'd be better off with him now, if I'm being honest with you. But there we go.
Well, go on, Lou. Go on, Lou. You can have your say on this. Go on.
I just do. I think we'd have been better sticking with him. I just do. We were scoring goals. We were up in and around the right place at the right time. I'd much rather, with all respect, and I know Drew very well, but I'd still much rather have Lee Grant in charge than two interim coaches until the end of the season. But my opinion.
How do you see League One, Lou?
I think City have done remarkable. I really, really do. And Gaz will laugh at that because it's me saying something positive about City. But I think for City to be third and 7 points behind second is pretty stunning for a team who've come up, albeit with the last kick of a game in League Two, and really probably should be getting in the playoffs now and getting themselves a home tie. I think that is, as well, I'm going to say it with Lincoln being champions, that is the story of League One. I think, I know what you're saying, Downsy, from your perspective about Huddersfield not deserving to be in the playoffs if you're getting there, but you do deserve to be in there if you get there at the end of the day. That's just the matter of fact of how it is. Whether you think you've played well enough or not, you've been better than other teams around you to get in the playoffs. I think you've got a really tough run in, I do. And I know I said it the last time I were on, which seemed like an absolute eternity ago. I said Plymouth about 2 months ago, I think, would just come in good at the right time. And there's always a team out of absolutely nowhere that just gets on a really good run and just keep on doing what they're doing. And Plymouth, and it's a very naive thing to say, but with the geographics that they've got, everything kind of being away from them, the whole spirit about that going home and away, it just all sings to me. And I think they'd be a big threat for any team in that division. Nobody wants to go play down there in a first leg. You just don't. You don't want to go down to Plymouth on midweek, do you? Really, or on it either on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I think it's been an interesting season. I think there's been a few more surprises than I thought. It's been close. There's still a lot to play for. I do see it going down to the final day, and I think we will see a surprise in the playoffs. I don't think those favourites in inverted commas in the playoffs will go up. It wouldn't surprise me if City did it. I'm going to say that it wouldn't surprise me if it did.
There we go, guys. There's some optimism for you.
Sorry, guys. I'm not Downsy though.
Somewhere.
I'm not Downsy, am I? So I get a pass with that. But I just think the way that City are and the momentum that you can get at home, you've been there, you've done it. You've got a bit of it in your DNA about being in the playoffs and big games in recent years. There's just something good going on at City at the moment, and it's hard to ignore. Graham Alexander's got something over other teams, hasn't he? He's got the group playing well. You've got good squad depth. You've now, like you mentioned earlier, guys, you've got that away win that's kind of been just hanging there in the background that you've not got. Now you've got that. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a perfect storm, but nobody would want to play Bradford City in the playoffs. Nobody would.
The thing with City is, it was quite interesting. I do try and listen to the opposition manager, after the game when they do the post match, and Michael Duff was talking about how City are a team in the image of the manager. Was talking about Graham, because obviously he knows Graham Alexander from when they were players because they were both together at Burnley, and he just said he described as a team who do the hard yards and do all the dirty stuff, and I think that is music to a City fan's ears, because that's what City fans can get behind, and that's what City fans want to see. I think you'll all agree that any team at any level has to earn the right to play first and foremost. You can have all the quality that you want, but you've got to go and earn the right to show that quality. And if City are being complimented for that at the moment, that's only a good thing, and it's nice to hear.
I think as well, guys, especially in the playoffs, and I know we'll move on, but especially in the playoffs when you've got two legs, home and away, with potentially a playoff final, sometimes the quality isn't always the best. It's how you group together, you stay together, and you absolutely fight for each other in them playoffs. Even though it's entertaining, and I love the playoffs, I absolutely adore them. I think it's one of the best things that's happened in the Football League. Sometimes the best teams, quality-wise, don't always go up. And that's just simply because the teams that do go up seem to have a real proper, bonding with each other, a proper team ethic. And City have got that in abundance. And it's going to be, listen, any team in that playoff is going to hopefully light it up and do really well. But it's very unlikely you're probably going to get an off day. And even when you have an off day, you've potentially got a chance to recover it. Remember Peterborough, Sheffield Wednesday the other year? That was a perfect example. Team has an off day, they come back and they win it. That's all about team spirit, intensity, just building and building and building that together. So, I don't want to jinx you guys, but I think City stand a really good chance, and for them to be third, and I still see the odd people moaning about it. I mean, how on earth can you moan about a season that Bradford City have had this season? How can you even moan about it?
Playoffs are just... Yeah, you're right. And I'd agree with you on that anyway. 100% how I feel about City and the mourners. And you're right, there's been a bit of mourning, mainly about our away form, because it's not been good. But I think I saw someone say yesterday that despite everyone saying how poor our away form's been, I think we're still, like I say, I haven't checked it, but someone said we're still in the top half of League One, even if it on the away table. So even that in itself, and the playoffs, I 100% agree. The playoffs are great for the neutral. They're an absolutely brilliant thing to watch as a neutral. They're horrible when you're in it because they're so nerve-wracking. But we've got to get there yet. I'll just leave it at that. We've got to get there yet.
Well done for the
for our teams this season, I tell you. Look at this.
Well done to the EFL for ruining the playoffs. One of the majorly good things about English football in the Championship. But I know that's a different discussion for the other day. But it's just I love the playoffs, mate. I watch them every year, and it's just drama. It's just I love it. I think it's one of the best things in this country about sport is the playoffs.
I'll tell you about the playoffs this time next year when Lincoln are in shape to make them. Lou, let's talk non-league then. We will come on to having you in a moment or two, but let's start with FC Halifax Tower if you've been prepping as you usually do with the non-league scene.
Yeah, so drew 2-2 against Tamworth. Reading some of the interview and listening to what Adam Lakeland was saying, he felt that we should be winning that game. But and obviously Dave's been covering it on the past recent weeks, hasn't he, about Halifax, and they're probably going to fall short of the playoffs. But again, it's one of those situations where that 2 games more in Southend, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get in the playoffs. But it's been a remarkable season again for a team that's been built from scratch by a manager who's not really managed at this level before. So probably difficult to take because they're close. But they're obviously going to miss out probably with 5 points adrift, having played 2 games more. And, I think that felt maybe that final nail in the coffin happened at Bank Holiday with that draw against Tamworth at home. I think we were down to 10 men as well, weren't we? So it's a shame, but I think we can hold our heads high. I really do. You look at who we've had against some of them teams in that division, Hartlepool, who've had mixed fortunes, but have been up there, thereabouts, and Tamworth, who wowed that season in, being a part-time club. And you've got other big hitters, Solihull, who've recovered under Millington and Cooper, Yeovil, Boston have had a decent season. So for Halifax to be where they are, they're higher than I thought they'd finish. And you never know what's going to happen. It'd be a big push. But listen, I think even if we got in the playoffs, Halifax, I think we would struggle, because I think that calibre, and you've seen it you've seen it definitely a lot more than me, Chris, but I think that calibre in that National League is extremely strong. And I think that top 7, I think would all be very competitive in League 2, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, say the top 6 without a doubt. Southend looked a little bit shaky at times, and I lost to Altrincham the other week. But you're right. I think certainly, you could argue that the top 4 would be kind of mid-table at worst in League 2 on the seasons that they've had. Let's move on to Guiseley into the Northern Premier League. For them, just the 1 point from there. Oh, go on, Lou.
No, I think, Gaz, we're just going to have a quick comment, I think, mate.
Just about that, what you were saying about the teams at the top of the conference, the National League as it is now, you're right, because they all seem to do reasonably well when they first come up. And the fact that we've got 2 teams up there in Rochdale and York that are both going to hit 100 points, and one of them's going to end up in the playoffs, is a repeat of what's happened in previous years, isn't it, recently? And it just brings up the whole debate back about 3 up, 3 down, as they're talking about, changing it to. And it really does when you see that 100 points. Also, am I right in thinking Halifax missed a penalty right at the end on Saturday?
You
have a feeling.
They did, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, well done,
right at the end. You what, mate?
Yeah, it's a killer that in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, as regards the 3 up thing, yeah, it is. It's one of those things being talked about again. The campaign this season in particular has got a lot louder for the 3 up campaign. It says everything that no side has ever been promoted out of the National League or the conference or the GM conference back in the 80s. No side has ever been promoted out of the National League as it is now and gone down from the Football League in their first season ever. And that's something like, it might have changed slowly. I'm sure last time I checked that, it was something like 58 separate occasions, and no side has ever gone straight back down. And you often see as well, to be fair, you can probably at least, I reckon it's safe, but you can count on both hands as well the amount of times that a side has come up from the National League and has then gone promoted into League 1 within a season or 2 of coming to the Football League full stop. So the momentum has been massive. We'll turn to the Northern Premier League then, Lou. As mentioned, for Guiseley, 1 point from their 2 games, a 1-1 draw against Hyde at home on Saturday they played, and then a trip to Games for Trinity on Monday, which the line started off 2-1.
Yeah, mid-table mediocrity, and I think it's one of those seasons that is probably just going to pass by, and many people won't remember it for the record books, will they, at Guiseley? But, I think it's one of those that Ian Richards and the coaching staff are going to have to really get their heads together, I think, in pre-season and really consider what their expectations at Guiseley are going to be next season. You look at potentially the teams that are going to come down from the National League North. We've already seen Peterborough Sports. They were announced as being relegated. Then there's Leamington, who were already being relegated. They might drop into the potential Midlands or North. There's Hereford in there. Alfreton, Curzon are really hanging on as well. So I think for any team that are going to try and get promoted from the NPL Prem next season, it's going to be, I think, as tough as it ever has been, because I think there's going to be much of a muchness in that league next year. Guiseley should be up towards that right end of the table, but this season it's just petered to pretty much nothing. They're not in any danger of getting the playoffs, not in any danger of getting relegated. Disappointing, because, you want to finish your season strongly, and I'm one of those real big advocates for finishing a season strongly to get the next season up and running as quick as you can. I don't think it's a coincidence when you finish that season strongly that many teams go on a decent run at the beginning of the season after. with a bit of momentum. But I think there'll be a fair few changes, guys, and it'll be interesting because, listen, he had a lot of change in pre-season with players leaving. Then he had obviously the change in manager and coaching staff as well. How many times have I said it? Guys who just need a bit of stability and have not had it for years, and they're absolutely crying out for it because you've seen clubs like this who swap and change managers and coaching staff, and they slowly slip down the league, and within a year or two they might get relegated. And hopefully that's not the case at Guiseley, but we've just got to stick with somebody pretty soon.
And Ian Richards as well, to be fair, you've got a man that obviously had that good track record of work, that good period of work at Stockport Steels. Obviously did well to take them up. And you think this, a good summer, and it'll be, as I say, you suspect there'll be quite a few changes because he want to put his or continue to put his stamp on the squad overall in the summer. But as you say, this should be, if the backing is there for him, a fair amount of optimism, I think, for guys, as you say, to be certainly challenging in amongst those playoff places come the end of next season, as it is.
We've got to because we're going to be in a very competitive division next season. There's going to be some of them teams that are going to be pushing for promotion. There's going to be teams that are looking over the shoulder, and guys that just can't afford to be in that situation because they could get left behind. Because there's going to be teams that are going to recruit well. Ian Richards and the guys have been at Stocksbridge, and we know how to do it tough with not the biggest budget in against, with respect, bigger clubs with better resources, and they punched well above the weight and got promoted. So they've I think they've got a bit of a task on their hands, but this is one for the guys they bought to get sorted because they've got to stick with a manager and got to stick him for a good 2-3 years. You've put your faith in him, you've got to stick with him, and you've got to trust him, and you've got to allow him to do the job because otherwise they're just going to slip and slide like other clubs in West Yorkshire have done in the past by swapping and changing managers, and sometimes it doesn't always work. I mean, obviously I'm not involved in the club, and I don't have that much context to it, but outside looking in, they've just got to get any kind of possibility of being in around that playoff push because, obviously they got Bowes and Bosch in the other year. They fortunately got through to that playoff, but they were never really going to, not challenge, but it felt they were on the back foot with that one. And this season, 13th is disappointing.
Yeah, it's certainly been a season of transition for the Lions this season. Into the NPL East, and as we touched on with Avenue, 8-0 yesterday. A costly, I think, is possibly not too strong a word, to be fair. A costly defeat on Good Friday, followed by a bounce back of an 8-0 win over a relegated Brighouse side, or as good as relegated Brighouse side, but not quite mathematically confirmed, I'm not sure.
Yeah, not mathematically, but they've got to hope for a 30-goal swing, which is pretty impossible. And they are absolutely down to the bare bones of Brighouse. And as well, felt really sick for him because the captain, Nathan Curtis, got stretchered off, and I think he's got a ruptured ligament damage as well. And they had 3, I think, 16, 17-year-olds on the bench yesterday. They couldn't fill the bench. It's desperate at Brighouse. Felt really sorry from speaking to a few of them, and friend of the show, Damo, were there as well, and we're chatting to him before the game. And listen, they're going to have to completely rebuild, no doubt about it. But listen, Avenue did the job. They played some half-decent stuff. And what was encouraging from Avenue's perspective is that they just didn't take the foot off the accelerator. They just kept on going and scoring the goals, and without being disrespectful at all to Brighouse, because they know the situation they're in. It could have been double figures, but the benefit for Avenue is that they've got to win. They've kept the pressure on the teams above them, and it improves the goal difference, which is significantly better than those above them. But, that defeat against Dunstan, it feels slightly punctuated with that defeat in the North East, because to lose in the 88th minute, when in the first half, if anybody does see the highlights, the keeper, Dan Lawson, who's in a bit of a veteran up there for likes of Morpeth and Spennymoor, makes 3 brilliant saves, and also Avenue hitting the crossbar, nodding one over from about 6 yards, 8 yards, which was a difficult one to take.
One of those.
What's that, mate?
Was it one of those days by the sounds of it?
It felt like in the first half, and I think this is a lot of you probably resonate this with your own clubs. I think it's one of those situations where even though the keepers made some really good saves and you've hit the crossbar, so there's not much more else that you can really do. You still feel you need to take those chances, but it's difficult because you've not really done much wrong in that situation either. And it felt like that. I mean, the second half was poor. It was a poor quality for the second half. I'll say this about the Northern Premier League East. I'm going to be controversial here. It's not a great standard of football this season from the games I've seen. I don't think there's been a massive amount of, I'm saying entertainment. It's very bitty. There's not much consistency in a lot of the games I've seen this season, albeit not as many as what I've been used to seeing. But the games I've seen have lacked real quality, which is surprising, to be honest, for some of the players that are in that division. But Avenue, fell asleep. I'll be honest, I thought there were some questionable tactical substitutions from Craig Elliott. I think Dunstan were a bit more attack-minded in their substitutions. Avenue seemed to just go the other way. I know they've got a fair few injuries, but I think the likes of Josh Ashman playing in centre midfield was a bit odd. And when you're making substitutions that affect two positions rather than like for like, it causes issues. And when you defending set pieces, back-to-back set pieces in the last couple of minutes, the shape is just not as perfect as it should be. And flick on at the near post, tapped in at the back post, and job done. Dunstan saw the game out and did what we needed to do. But listen, it's still not over for Avenue to get the playoffs, but it's a big task. And the simple fact is Avenue have to win basically 3 games to give themselves a chance of the playoffs, and they've got to win 2 in the playoffs to go up. So you've got to win, including yesterday's result against Brighouse, 6 on a bounce, which is very, very difficult in a league that lacks quality.
Yeah, as you say, 4 points adrift they are of Dunstan and Pontefract, who are both level on 40 points. Lou, do you want to run us through the rest of the NPLE scores from yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll run through some of those. And listen, I think we are getting to that business end of the season where it really matters at the moment. So in terms of the results yesterday affecting our teams, so Garforth 0, Pontefract Collieries 1, which is a big, big one in West Yorkshire. So just to give a bit of context at the moment, Ponty, who survived last year with a couple of games to go, a relegation zone of, had to begin the season at Ossett. They've now moved into a new home. The previous stadium where they were, with an artificial pitch, and they're now in the playoffs 4 points better off an Avenue, which probably many people weren't expecting, but they've signed some really good players, been really strong. And that win yesterday, 1-0 at Garforth, is a real indicator of what Ponty are about this season. But what I will caveat that with this is that they have arguably the trickiest running of any team in that league. They have the champions Redcar to play. They've got Emily, who are third to play, and then on the final day, they've actually got Dunstan, who are level on points with them, to possibly for that last final playoff play. So Ponty have got a real job. If they get in the playoffs, they fully deserve it. Fully deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some tough run to say the least. Speaking of third place, Emily, they got a point on the road at Ossett.
Yeah, and that's a sickener for Ossett because it was a 90+3 minute equaliser from Joe Clegg for Emily, who I think he's been at Ponty already this season a bit. So no, that's Joe Kenny. So Joe Clegg, sorry, at Emily. But yeah, in terms of Ossett, they're really fighting against relegation, getting dragged into that because they lost against Brighouse 1-0 the weekend, and then that last minute equaliser against Emily at home is a real kick in the you-know-whats. Emily probably needed that to just get in the playoffs. Not mathematically confirmed, but they should be fine now. But yeah, it's Emily have built a really good team, really good, solid team. We know what Emily are all about. I know Downsy knows them well as well, and they'll be a big threat in the playoffs for anybody. But in terms of the opposite end of the table, Ossett hanging on because they've just got dragged in it. They're actually in the last playoff, in the last relegation spot in the moment, with a point behind Blythe Town, who beat Blythe Spartans, and Silsden lost to Matlock.
Yeah, I was just about to say that was the big blow for Ossett. It was Blythe Town winning the Blythe Derby yesterday beating Brighton Spartans by.
Oh, yeah, I think you may have
We've
just
lost Chris there.
He
He did tell
might
us, didn't he? He was just mid-flow as well, wasn't he? Oh, there we go.
He's back.
Oh, he's back.
Am I back?
You're
You're
back.
back.
Yeah, what was the second? What was I up to? Silsden lost the last three on the bounce. They're a point above that bottom four. I mean, it's going to be a stressful end to the season, isn't it? If you're currently, if you're Ross or Silsden at the moment, trying to do all you can to survive with so few games to go, 3 to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the fixtures now involving our team. So Silsden, they're going to be away at Hallam, which is just a notoriously tough place to go. Away at Garforth.
It's on a hill.
Yeah, it's basically like Underhill, but Mount Pleasant for those in and around our area. It's basically like that. Hallam, Garforth Town away, then at home to Consett. Ossett, so their next fixtures, they've got Heaton Stannington away on Friday night, which isn't easy. Then they're back in the North East the weekend after against Consett. And then the last game's against Avenue on Saturday the 25th. So that game could be a decider for both playoffs and relegation. So, listen, it's not going to be easy for both teams. You just hope that some of them can get out of it, because even though I do have my allegiances to the North East, it's always nice to get some of them North East ones out and keep the Yorkshire ones in there, especially with Liverpool coming up this season as well. From the NCL, so we just need to try and keep as many in there. And I think Blythe Town, they don't have an easy run in either. They've got Bishop Auckland away, Redcar and Garforth, so there's going to be shocks. Listen, there's 3 games to go. There's going to be surprises. It's not going to be straightforward for anybody to deal with. It's just good drama at the end of the season at both ends of the table, and sometimes, fortunately/unfortunately, it involves teams from our region.
Yeah, speaking of drama at the end of the season, the NCL relegation battle was full of that on Saturday. I was at Thackley for their game against Eccleshill United. They played out a 3-3 draw. At different stages over the course of the afternoon, Thackley were safe. They were outside the bottom 2 on goal difference, and at times they were in it and looking doomed. But for a 96th minute equaliser that it was from Hasgorgi that got Thackley a 3-3 draw, combined with the fact that Albion Sports at the time drawing 3-3 at home to Golka, meant that Thackley was safe, and that was compounded when Callum Reid for Golka popped with a 95th minute winner at Myra Shea to make it Albion 3, Golka 4. Albion in that second relegation spot and have been relegated. However, the word around the ground afterwards was that there's going to be quite a lot of sorting with regards league allocations next season. Apparently, Nostell Miners, who are struggling in the league below, may get a reprieve, and that may then have some form of knock-on effect. So basically, people were kind of thinking, look, if they end up in the bottom 2, the fact that they'll be on 38 points out of the course of the season, put it this way, Albion have gone down with the highest points total ever recorded from the Northern Counties easily to go down with. So a lot of people are feeling that actually, when it comes to league allocations, and if there's sides that from other leagues that are either take voluntary relegations or that sort of thing, and then there's allocations where they'll then balance out the geographics of it all, that actually Albion may end up with a reprieve. It's what we need to do is get Mark back on from the league at some point, I think, over the next few weeks to help us decipher it all, Lou. But it's certainly made for a lot of final day drama down at Dennyfield and obviously up at Myra Shea.
Yeah, I don't know what else you want me to say. I think you've rounded up reasonably well there. But yeah, I mean, big drama in the NCL, and again, involving our teams. And I'm pleased for the likes of Jamie Price, because Thackley they were at bare bones. They had no squad, they had no manager, and Jamie's come in there and he's had to pull a squad together full of kids and pros around the local area, and he's done really well to do that. And listen, I put my neck on the line, and I openly admitted this. I thought Albion Sports were a dark horse to get in the playoffs and go up. I got it completely wrong for them to be where they are this season. And, let's wait and see. Like I say, let's get them back on the show. Let's see what they've got to say. They probably might not say much yet. And probably knowing this situation, it probably won't be resolved until maybe like the 3rd week before the season. But listen, it's going to be an interesting one. We know obviously Liverpool have gone up as champions. They're playing Campion tonight, and I know they were leading 2-0 the last time I saw in the cup. It's just unfortunately we've got no representation from our region in the playoffs. Campion were close, but unfortunately we weren't done a favour.
We've got Taddy.
Well, you're pushing the boat there.
I'm pushing. Well, look, if we always said if we can take Van Oldwick on the cusp.
Well, you do. Yeah, you do.
As well, to be fair. So as you mentioned, Liverpool 89 points. They win the league with. They have still got one game to play against Knaresborough Town, but because it doesn't mathematically affect anything, that's allowed to be played at some point in the next week or two. I think it is, despite the rest of the season being finished. Tadcaster then finishing fourth, Beverley finishing second, Sheffield third, Tadcaster fourth, and Barton Town in fifth, which means Tadcaster will travel to Sheffield in the playoff semi-final, Lou, and that's, I mean, Sheffield, they're the oldest football club in the world, don't you know?
Absolutely, and owned by the guy who is Reverend the Makers as well, and they had arguably their biggest attendance for a non-Sheffield FC game when the Royal Oak played Nag's Head at the weekend, but there we go. I mean, to Steve Bracknell, I think he's a genius. I think it's an absolute genius thing that they've created. To get 2,200 people down there at Shaft FC to watch a pretend football game is genius. But I think Beverley against Barton Town, it's going to be an interesting one. Two rivals, Sheffield Taddy as well. Listen, it's all to play for because they're all pretty tight in there. Taddy have come good at a good time. Beverley done remarkably well after being promoted to be there. So, yeah, it's a shame the likes of Campion and Golker, etc., and Eccleshill, Fackley, Albion are not involved because we have normally had pretty much all four of them in the playoffs. But let's hope it's next season anyway.
Yeah, just to round them up, Campion finishing sixth, Golker finished season in ninth, Eccleshill United in 12th, Horbury Town, their first season at this level, finishing in 16th, and then Fackley just above the relegation zone in 18th, Albion 19th. But as I say, watch the space with them. A question that Ian asked last week when you weren't on, Lou, that I put to you on this one. The Eccleshill United situation, that move to Cougar Park, has it paid off for Eccleshill, do you think, after a season there or not? I think it's questionable, if I'm honest.
Looking at the tendencies suggests maybe not, but they probably weren't. I don't think they're getting as many as what they were at Eccleshill, but they weren't getting a lot there at home anyway. They've done better on the pitch than what they did last season.
Yeah, but probably not the year before, maybe?
Maybe not, but I mean, and it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, they maybe did it for their own stability of the club and whatever goes with that, but yeah, it's always hard, isn't it? I mean, it's one of those that you never want to see a club go out of the local area and move. We said that at the beginning of the season. They've obviously felt that was a needed to do it, but you know, for Eccleshill to not be involved in a relegation battle this season is a positive, because unfortunately we have been in the last year or two, and I know obviously we were in and around the playoffs a few years ago. So, as it worked out, it's not been a success yet. It could be a success in terms of on the field performances and results that gets them up in the playoffs and up as champions. You never know what's going to happen next season. But I wouldn't say it's also been an absolute disaster where they finished bottom of the league and getting a man and his dog going every week in, week out. It's just a shame because you do look at the pitch at Cougar Park and it isn't great, to be polite. And that applies to both rugby league and the football. So the product on offer is not as what it probably could be either. But yeah, I think it's pretty 50-50 at the moment. It's pretty split. I think it's far too early to say whether it's been a success or a failure in how it's gone so far. But I think the proof will be in the pudding in the next 4 years, and Eccleshill in this league and are still doing what they're doing, or are they up or down or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, we'll see. As for the NCL Division 1 then, still a couple of games or so to go in that league over the course of the weekend. Nostrum as well, beaten 4-1 away at Brigtown. South Leeds got a 0-0 draw away at Clubthorne Colliery. Leeds UFCA, they continued their good season. 2 goals in 2 minutes for Leeds UFCA. Saw them with a 2-0 win over Maltby Main. Glasshouse and Welfare, bottom of the league, they were beaten 5-0 on the road at Selby Town. Finally, Route 1 Rovers, they lost by a goal to nil away at Worsborough Bridge. As for the table, Durham District absolutely romping away with that one. 107 points from 41 games. Second place is Wakefield, 90 points from 41. Then Worsborough with 86 points from 39 games. Harrogate Railway, 85 points from 40 games. And then Leeds UFCA, 77 points from 40 games for them. You've got Brigtown, 75 from 41, and Route 1 Rovers, 71 from 40, currently sitting in 7th. I mean, you look at it, obviously the talking points from our region in the NCL Division 1 look like they will be. Obviously, there's a couple of games to go, at least, for Leeds UFCA. But Wakefield currently sitting second, and Leeds UFCA, what a remarkable season they've had to be sitting fifth at the moment.
Yeah, I've done a really good job, haven't it, to be as high as they have been. Yeah, absolutely. So you never know. Teams like that are always a bit of a surprise package out of it, but across the season have been consistent enough to be in the playoffs and give themselves a real good opportunity. I mean, it's probably a shame they are playing Wakefield because one of them is obviously going to get knocked out in our region.
Yeah.
But if it stays obviously the way it is at the moment. But listen, I think it's a great achievement for a club like that who've basically come from nowhere and admitted to the league this year and have gone into 5th place. It reeks of what Ilkley did last year a little bit. But yeah, all the best to them. Hopefully one of them does get promoted. But I mean, Wakefield are desperate to get out of that league. Desperate.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of rounds us off then with the NCL on the non-league stuff. Any other business then, gents? From either you two, Brownie or Gaz?
No, all good. Just here's to another 100 episodes of the Roundtable Show.
Absolutely.
100 not out.
Yes, 100 not out. We're mostly all still here, which is bodes well.
Yep. Well done, everybody, for doing 100 shows, and hopefully we can celebrate this year with a city promotion.
Wow, Gaz has got off the fence.
Well, I want it down. I want it, Lou. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I'm joking.
I mean, look, we could go for it. We could have Lincoln with a title. We could have Leeds United with an FA Cup winning survival. We could have Bradford with a playoff victory at Wembley. Oh, it'd be tremendous. And Downsy, sadly, would be absolutely as sick as a dog, I'm sure. and Lou, I'm sure you can find some success from somewhere, yeah?
Yeah, somewhere.
Avenue could still make the playoffs. Don't worry.
Who knows?
We will round it up there. Then a big thank you to Stephen Brown, to Gareth Walker, Lewis Sale, and to Stephen Downs, who had to leave us a little bit earlier on, for joining us on what has been our 100th Roundtable show here on the channel. Of course, keep an eye on our social media. There'll be plenty more stuff coming over the course of the week. So I'm sure Brownie, you and Jay will be having surely some form of preview of the Chips All Trafford on Monday night.
Yeah, Friday morning we're looking at. So yeah, we'll be around then.
Yeah, and there'll be some Huddersfield content sure to come on Sunday as well, and we'll be back next week with our usual Monday night slot for this show. So do join us then. For myself, though, and the rest of the lads, thanks for joining us this evening. We'll see you soon on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Take care.